Hello, Junior Nation. Welcome to AmpUpThe88.com, the online destination for Junior Nation to amp up for the race every week. We've got fresh, new, exciting content every week, including our Signature Series sweeps, where we'll give away a different autographed Dale Jr. item every single day. We've got exclusive new video created by the 88 team themselves, especially for you, the fans. And we've got a live Twitter feed from TJ Majors, the spotter for the 88 team. And as you know, best of all, we've got live chats with a different member of the 88 team every single week. Last week we had Dale Jr., and the turnout and the energy among Junior Nation was outstanding. Next week, Wednesday, March 3rd at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we've got Chris Heroy, lead engineer for the 88 team. And the moment you've all been waiting for. I'm Jeff on the Amp Energy team, and this week we've got Lance McGrew, crew chief for the 88 team. So log in and enter your questions in the box on your screen, and let's get started. Welcome, Lance. You amped up?
Oh, absolutely. Can't wait.
Excellent. Let's jump right into it. Caring Angel 88 wants to know, hi, Lance. How is the friendship between you and Dale helping things this year?
I think it's been really good. The more we get to know each other, the more time we spend around each other, the better we communicate, and ultimately that's what it's all about. It's him trusting the decisions I make and me trusting the decisions he makes, and obviously the better, the closer you are, the better friends you are. You know, you build that trust within each other, and that ultimately that speed on the racetrack.
Excellent. Mrs. D.E. Jr. wants to know, do you think Junior will make the chase this year?
Absolutely. We got off to a really good start in Daytona. Had a mechanical failure that really hurt us in California, but we're really looking forward to Vegas this weekend and Atlanta next.
Excellent. George C. wants to know, how long have you been at Hendrick Motorsports, and how did you get started?
I was in college. I grew up in Baton Rouge, and I just decided that I wanted to go racing. I'd always raced with my dad. He kind of steered me in that direction when I was younger, and I just said, okay, I've had enough of what I'm doing. I wasn't happy doing what I was doing, so I packed up and moved to Charlotte in 1993. Worked on a couple different teams. Got started basically with Gordon Evernham when Jeff was doing the Pepsi car. In the Nationwide Series, and that kind of rolled into Hendrick Motorsports, and I've been here ever since. So basically, 98 started at Gordon Evernham, in 2000 in Hendrick Motorsports. So I've been here for 10 years.
You're a veteran.
Veteran.
Moo Tiger wants to know, you talk about creating a lighter chassis. Can you explain that in terms of strength and performance?
It really doesn't have a lot to do with the strength of the chassis. It's not like we're taking away any vital components that will alter its performance as far as how it flexes or whatever. It's just that NASCAR mandates tubing thicknesses on every single part of the car, and basically we've gotten better vendors, better suppliers, and we can build the car to the minimum thickness on whether it's square tubing or round tubing or whatever the part is that's welded into the chassis. So, and as the car gets older and you rebody it and you bondo it and you paint it and you bondo it and you paint it, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier through the life of the car. So ultimately what we like to do is keep new fresh cars in inventory. It's the lightest stuff we can build, we can bring to the racetrack. The metal's new, and it has good spring and forgiveness, and it generally turns out to be a faster lap on the racetrack.
Excellent. Caring Angel 88 wants to know, are you planning on growing a beard like Junior? No. I think you should do it.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I like to be clean shaven, and it's very popular with Mr. Hendrick to stay that way, so I do what I can to stay in his good graces.
Excellent. Eyeless Carl wants to know, is Junior looking forward to the spoiler?
I think he is. We actually went and tested Rockingham last week, and bolted it on the car for the first time, and he felt like there was just grip, and some of the things we've seen in the wind tunnel preliminarily show quite a bit more downforce front and rear with the spoiler. So he's looking forward to it. He's always been a strong proponent of the spoiler, so we'll see how it goes.
Super. Larry S. wants to know, what is your outlook for the rest of the season?
Well, I try to take it one race at a time, 1 week at a time, because ultimately our main and primary goal is to win as many races and score as many points as we can in the next 26 events, because ultimately the bottom line is we have to make the chase, and we have to be in contention to win the championship. So I try not to set lofty goals weeks and weeks and weeks out ahead of time. Our primary focus this week and this week only is Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and to achieve the best run we possibly can. So ultimately that's it. I try, I don't say, hey, we're going to win 5 races between now and Richmond. I'm like, okay, we're going to go to Vegas and we're going to run the absolute best we possibly can.
Super. Baron Down wants to know, related question to an earlier one, how do you feel the spoiler that NASCAR will implement will affect the car, the way the car drives?
I think it's going to give it more grip. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to do in traffic, and NASCAR is allowing us to go to Charlotte Motor Speedway in 2 weeks, the 23rd and 24th, or 24th, 25th, somewhere in that range, and actually test the spoiler for the very first time on the race cars at speed. That's a place that's very fast. It's a 180 mile an hour average lap. So we're going to have a pretty good idea what's going to happen before we leave there in those 2 days.
Great. Shay Firm wants to know, how do you deal with distractions associated with the city of Las Vegas during race week?
Well, you're really at the track so much you don't have time to get too concerned with the distractions. Fortunately enough for me, my little sister lives out on the West Coast in Spokane, Washington, and she's in the Air Force. She's in the military, so I don't get to see her that often. So her and her husband are coming to the race, so my distraction away from the track will be spending time with my family.
So no casinos or clubs for you?
No casinos, definitely no clubs. Maybe do a show, but other than that,
Gotcha.
I like to catch Cirque du Soleil or something when I'm out there.
Cool. Dale Jr. Lover 2121 wants to know, Lance, what is your favorite thing about working at Hendrick Motorsports?
I think it's just the resources. The fact that Mr. Hendrick is a great enough man to provide us with absolutely everything we need to be successful, and there'll never be a time where you'll sit and say, okay, I wish I would have got that, or I didn't have that, or no. It's, if you need it, get it. If you can get by with one, get one. If you need two, get two. But I think ultimately it's the resources, it's the people, it's the personnel, all of which great sponsorship like AMP National Guard provide us with that opportunity and the resources to get the people.
Super. Tish88 wants to know, you're from Louisiana. Are you a Saints fan?
Absolutely. Went to the Super Bowl, had an awesome seat, and had a great time. And it was very enjoyable. I think it was a little bit of karma and a lot of good wishes among all the people in the United States that New Orleans would get an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl and play the way they did. And the fact that they beat Indianapolis is just a little icing on the cake for me.
Well, congratulations. Cricket Presley wants to know, Lance, what can the pit crew do better and faster?
Everything. It doesn't really matter how fast they are. You always want them to be faster. You want the car to come into the pit box as precisely as you possibly can. And those guys work hard. They're athletes. We have 2 guys that played Division I college football on our pit crew that go over the wall each and every week. And that is a trend that you will see more and more. Actually, I have a guy on our pit crew now who's in training to become a jackman on the complex that actually played 7 years in the NFL. Graduated from Florida, played in San Francisco, played in St. Louis. Very talented guy. A lot of future there for him, and we're excited about helping him train and get to that level over the wall. That's really what he aspires to do right now.
Excellent. Well, we'll definitely be getting some of those guys on ampupthe88.com to be chatting with Junior Nation in the coming weeks. Flate23 wants to know, how cool was the Amp Juice car up close and personal last week?
I love the paint job on that car. It's just the orange really popped. It looked really good on the racetrack. It was very easy to pick out, and I like the product. I'm not a coffee drinker, so it's awful nice to start the morning with an Amp Juice. It tastes excellent, and it'll definitely wake you up.
Great. Smokin' Ace 88 wants to know, hey Lance, do you like to drink AMP? Which I think you partially just answered.
Yeah, I kind of did. No, I definitely do. Especially about that 2 o'clock time when you're a little run down. Maybe you had a little bit too big a lunch. It'll definitely charge you up and get you ready for the rest of the day.
Super. A Parrot 1994 wants to know, did the team ever come up with your nickname?
No, I have a nickname that some of my buddies gave me years and years and years ago, and they call me McGrew Chief all the time.
McGrew Chief.
McGrew Chief. I don't really know how they come up with it. But one of my buddies, I think Todd Stone, is the one that actually wound up coming up with it. So that's, in my little inner circle of friends, that's what they call me. But at the racetrack, I'm just Lance.
All right, guys, you got that, McGrew Chief. Mrs. D.E. Jr. wants to know, have you ever raced with Junior on his personal dirt track?
I have. We went, it was sometime at the end of last year. We all went over there and just had our 588 shop over and ran a bunch of laps on the dirt track with his carts and had a blast until it started raining. And it was not very fun after that. But it was a lot of good times. And he drives real dirty on the dirt track, I can tell you.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. He was doing everything he could do to wreck me.
Who won?
The Heat, he won.
All right.
Yeah, we actually, before we got real organized with eliminations and stuff, it started raining, so I was a little disappointed about that, but I'm sure we'll get an opportunity to do that again.
Gotcha. Dances with Cat wants to know, what input does Rick have at the shop?
Mr. Hendrick does a really good job of not micromanaging a whole lot. He's definitely a guy that if he says jump, you jump. But he keeps his finger on the pulse of what's going on, and he's always there to help you if you need him. But as far as the day-to-day stuff, he doesn't really come in and say, hey, you need to work on the pit crew, or hey, you need to do this. He just said, hey, fix it, make it work, and it's up to you to do it.
Excellent. Sean Edmonds wants to know, how is it to crew chief for Dale Jr. versus other crews you've chiefed before?
It's very much different. One, the fan base is enormously huge. I try not to think about that. Try not to let it, put alternate pressure on me, because there's enough pressure. I put enough pressure on myself just to perform, and I try not to think about the media scrutiny and the fan base. But it's definitely different. It's different when you get to the racetrack. You get a lot more attention. There's a lot more cameras around. Everybody's listening on the radio, so you definitely have to watch what you say and how you say it.
Sure.
Because in this information technology world that we're living on today, it'll wind up on YouTube in 35 seconds.
Absolutely. Okay. Dale Jr. Lover 2121 wants to know, what is the one thing you like most about being a crew chief?
I think if you're not the driver, ultimately you want to, I'm just kind of driven to the point where I want to be the biggest part of it I possibly can be. And that, if you're not the driver, is the crew chief. And the fact that ultimately I get a report card on how I'm doing in my job every single Sunday is, a lot of people don't get that opportunity. It's instant satisfaction for us or instant disappointment. But that you have days roll around like Daytona. That was probably the most exciting 2 laps in the history of racing, as far as I was concerned. It was just incredible, and that feeling, and the 30 text messages and 40 emails and 30 phone calls after. It's just cool. It's fun to be a part of it, and it's fun to know that you're part of charging up a fan base, which is really cool.
Excellent. Yeah, I think Junior Nation enjoyed it probably as much as you did.
I can't tell you the last time that I had that many people say, look, I was standing up, hollering at the TV, screaming, throwing stuff. Like, it was just incredible, that energy. And you could hear the fans over the radios, over the cars, everything at the racetrack. You knew something good was happening. Absolutely. Couldn't see the car, but I could hear it.
Super. Dale Jr. Forever wants to know, do you and Junior have a good relationship now?
I think we do. We've always had a good relationship. I've known Dale for a long time. Met him originally with Ricky Hendrick and the work I've done with Ricky in the past. And we've always gotten along. We've never been really close. I think we definitely gotten a lot closer, and we have a very mutual respect for what each of us has accomplished and what we plan on accomplishing in the future.
Super. Karen Waybright wants to know, how will last week's challenges affect the confidence of the team moving forward?
I think, I mean, from a team standpoint, it didn't affect me at all. I mean, I feel like the guys are definitely the strongest group that I've ever been associated with and more than capable of doing the job. I'm a little worried about the component side of it because there's no smoking gun on what actually happened. And we've seen a lot of problems. Jimmy was very close to having a problem. So it's a time of the year where we start running more of these intermediate racetracks, and we're going to see more of that axle wear, and I think you're going to see a lot more people having problems with it than you've seen in the future, in the past. And we're going through a lot of steps right now to prevent that from ever happening again.
Gotcha. Good. HMS Fan 11 says, you crew chiefed in the Nationwide Series. How is Cup different?
I think in the Nationwide Series, to me, there's three major components to being successful in racing. The engine obviously is one, the car is the other, and the team is the third one. And the team comprises a pit crew or road guys or whatever. But in the Nationwide Series, I could always be successful with two of the three being really good. In Cup, they're all good, because there's no. Everything you're going to see a weakness in every single thing. If the motors aren't up to par, you're not going to run good. If your team is not up to par, you're not going to run good. If the car is not up to par, you're not going to run good. You're not going to limp your way through with a strong team and a good motor to a good finish. It's just not going to happen. And it's the fact that it's the pinnacle. It's the greatest sport as far as stock car racing is concerned. It's the highest level there is. And you see that on a weekly basis when you're entrenched in it. It's very difficult. It's a lot of headache and a whole lot more of a challenge.
Yeah, I bet. You're chatting live with crew chief Lance McGrew at ampupthe88.com, online destination for Junior Nation to amp up for the race each week of the season. Dale Fan 88 wants to know, do you have any Dale pet peeves?
Sometimes my only pet peeve is sometimes he won't acknowledge you on the radio, or he might have a little attitude, and I'll ask him a question and he just won't say nothing. Because I think he does it because he knows it bugs me. But that's just kind of how he is. He's definitely a practical joker.
Do you think he has any about you?
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure he does.
But it sounds like you
probably because I ask him questions on the radio.
Yeah. It sounds like you guys have been getting along really well lately. So
yeah.
I Love 88 asks, is there anyone you envy on the track?
I mean, how could you not envy Jimmy Johnson? Like what he's accomplished in his time in motorsports at Hendrick Motorsports, and the fact that he's won 4 straight championships and year in, year out, no matter what the situation, they're the team to beat. And it's not like it's been exactly the same team. They've had different personnel come and go along the way, and somehow they've managed to stay. Jimmy and Chad have managed to stay together, maintain that relationship, get stronger and stronger through it, and just bottom dollar get it done on the racetrack. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Muck Verschall wants to know, how do you feel about adding of a safer barrier to Bristol to narrow the track at transition points?
It's going to definitely change the track quite a bit. It's going to change how you drive the track, how you drive into the corner, because I think it's about 18 inches of track you lose with the wall thickness. It may be a little more than that with the safer barrier. But I mean, obviously the safety is is always our number one concern. It's the reason why we're in the car we're in. NASCAR has been excellent in being very proactive with seats and fire suits and SFI ratings, and the wall was a big part of that. The Hans device and the wall was a very, very big part of that. So it'll be a challenge, but it'll be a challenge that everybody has.
Sure.
Very similar. So it's something that we'll deal with and we'll figure it out.
Good deal. Mrs. D.E. Jr. wants to know, which of Junior's animals is your fave?
Killer. Killer is about the sweetest dog you've ever been around in your life, and I was fortunate enough to get to fly with Dale last year up to New Hampshire, and Killer came along, and he's pretty much sat there and propped his head on my feet as we're sitting in the plane flying, and never whimpered, never like done it his whole life. Maybe he has, maybe that's why he's so used to it. But just really good-natured dog. A little intimidating to look at him because he's pretty big, but he's pretty awesome.
So his name is a little bit misleading.
His name is way misleading.
All right. Cricket Presley wants to know, hi Lance, what is your favorite track?
I don't really have a dead set favorite. Everyone is a challenge. Vegas is fun. Dallas, I think probably Dallas or Talladega, and it's more because a lot of my family goes to those tracks, and I get to see friends from college at Dallas, or my dad or my sister, or one of my sisters will come. So it's, when you're at the track, you're at the track. It's not, I don't have one that just stands out as like, I can't wait to get there. It's just.
Do you have a least favorite?
For a long time, it was Bristol, just because every time we went there, we crashed or, brought home the car in a little bucket. Mm-hmm. But the last few times I've been there, we've been really good, so I can't really complain about that anymore.
Good deal.
At one point in time, Kyle Petty said they should fill that thing with water and put bass in it.
Oh boy. Dado Hodson asks, describe the pit crew's typical week. Do they practice?
Usually on Mondays. They'll come in, they do drills, and they watch video from the weekend before. Tuesdays is live stops pretty much every single week. They practice, it's about 2 hours, I believe. They probably do 7 or 8 stops. They weight train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They weight train practically every day. If it's inclement weather, we'll do drills inside where the car's not really involved. But yeah, they pretty much practice every day, and it's not uncommon to see 11-second pit stops in practice. That doesn't necessarily translate to how you're going to perform at the racetrack, but our guys are very serious about it.
Cool. West Coast Gal 88 asks, what is the biggest problem setting up the car of tomorrow?
I think one of the biggest things we fight about the car is just it's heavy. The center of gravity of the car is very high. So it's very difficult to make the car handle consistently over a long period of time. You can get it really good and then it goes to really bad, or you can get it really bad and then it goes to really good. It's kind of like setting it up on the edge of a razor blade. So it's definitely challenging. It's very engineering based with the bump stops and loading and everything that we see. But I think not a lot of downforce and a very high center of gravity don't make for a very good handling race car. So that's a challenge for us.
Similar question along the same lines. Bear 11 asks, do you like the car of tomorrow?
I like what they've tried to accomplish. I would like, there are some things about the car that I wish were different, but like you said, that's a challenge that every single race team has, and the people that obviously get the handle on it better than the rest will have an advantage, even though there's very few advantages to get in the car. No matter whether it's our Chevrolet or a Ford or a Dodge or a Toyota, the cars are all very, very similar. So there's not like a really big aerodynamic advantage from one make to another. NASCAR's done a really good job of policing engines and constantly dynoing engines at the tech center. So it's not like you're a big horsepower disadvantage versus one manufacturer versus the other. So they've done a very good job of leveling the playing field, which has made us work harder to get a small advantage, because a very, very, very small advantage can be a really big advantage on the racetrack.
Excellent. Jay Backer wants to know, did you learn anything last weekend in California that you can use when you go back in October?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is very, very rare that you go to a racetrack that you don't learn something, whether it's something you would have done a little different in qualifying practice, or something about the tires, whether it's air pressure or a spring rate change or whatever. So you always learn something. So absolutely.
Super. Keep your questions coming, Junior Nation. We're chatting live on ampupthe88.com with crew chief Lance McGrew. Larry Schnaudigl wants to know, do you think NASCAR can come up with a better way for drivers to judge pit road speed?
I think NASCAR's doing all they're going to do. They definitely, and there's a lot of people get busted on pit road. We actually got busted on pit road this past weekend. We were running 60.09 miles per hour. The limit was 60. So the .09 wow. was the infraction. But the case is the speed limit is 55. NASCAR gives you a 5 mile per hour gimme.
Yep.
Well, if they give you 5, you're going to take 5.
Sure.
So obviously our goal is to run 59.6 to 59.9, which we do with the RPM of the engine and a calculated gear ratio. we got a little aggressive, sped in one of the 7 segments to 60.09, and we're forced to serve a penalty, which really hurts under green. I'm gonna tell you, really, really bad under green flag conditions. So, I think they're doing what they're going to do, and the fact that we sped is our fault because we had 5 miles an hour, and that's what NASCAR's going to tell you. They're saying, "Well, no, the speed limit's 55. We're giving you 5 because you took more than 5. That's your fault, not our fault."
Gotcha. Karen Waybright asks, Lance, you seem really relaxed today. Any plans of broadcasting in your future like Larry Mack?
I don't know. I try to stay. I'll leave that to Chad Canals. He's like the broadcaster of the bunch. So it doesn't bother me. I enjoy doing the especially like chats and that kind of thing, and in the video stuff. And I do a radio show on Mondays. So I enjoy it.
Super. Baron Down wants to know, Lance, I know that Junior is a big music lover. Do y'all share any of the same musical interest?
We're both really big fans of OAR. It's a band that I got to know years ago with Ricky and enjoy a personal relationship with those guys. They're amazing. Dale definitely has some different. He has a very broad musical taste, and I used to think mine was broad because I'll listen to Metallica 1 minute and rap the next, you know, so I'm thinking like that's pretty broad, but Dale's expands way past that.
Okay. Gotcha.
He is a very big music guy. His iPod is full of music.
Who are some of your favorites?
Mine personally, OAR, Nickelback, 3 Days Grace, lots of them.
Excellent. All right, we're winding down here, Junior Nation, so a couple more questions. Keep them coming. Okay, Maddie99 wants to know, do you watch the nationwide race before to try and learn how the track is reacting?
You try to. A lot of times the race is at a different time, so it doesn't really justify. You really watch the weather more than anything else. And if there's a question about the tires, whether 2 tires were good or 2 tires were bad or 4 tires, how the cars were at the end of the run, how the race ended up. Was it a short run at the end? Did somebody stay out and actually hold them off and win, or did they pit and the tires, won the race for them? There's a lot of little things you can learn that are more strategy things and how it worked than actual car setups, because the cars are just so much different that really doesn't translate at all. But definitely strategy does.
Cool. Tammy Foster wants to know, what do you like doing during the off season?
There really isn't an off season. I was fortunate enough in November to go spend a few days in Key West after Homestead, but pretty much after that it was wide open prepping cars for Daytona. Obviously that worked out well. We did some testing at the Desert Proving Grounds in Arizona. We did lots of simulation work, 7-post work. It's our hours from November to February are way longer than during the season.
Oh, wow.
We generally during the year we're gone from the shop so much we try not to spend a ton of time here when we are in town, and that's why we have the personnel we have back at the shop to take care of it. But during the off season, it's 7 to 7 at least, generally 6 days a week.
Wow. Any vacation?
3 days.
Wow, that's wild.
3 whole days.
Sean Edmonds wants to know, what is your all-time favorite moment in racing, personally or that you've seen at the track?
Winning the truck race with Ricky Hendrick at Kansas was the only time I've ever seen Mr. Hendrick speechless. You're talking about a guy that has thousands of employees, that speaks in front of people and speaks very well, and that was the only time I've ever seen him choked up. And to bring that and to be a part of that was very special to me, and it's something I will never forget.
Super. MRH wants to know, I hear you like racing in Kansas. Is it the track or is it the barbecue?
The barbecue. Oh, definitely the barbecue. The big hitter. I got a really good tip from a good friend that works at AMP, and the barbecue there is spectacular.
Super. Dances with Cat wants to know, do you and other HMS crew chiefs have weekly meetings?
Yeah, actually, we have a debrief. We have weekly meetings regardless, especially during the season. Usually on Tuesdays we have a call-in where all 4 of the drivers will call in. We sit around a big conference table and each driver discusses and describes what they felt in their car, what they liked, what they didn't like, the changes that they made during the race, and we sit down and talk about that. We do that at the shop. We do after happy hour. All the drivers and crew chiefs will get together and talk about what they were fighting one particular situation or other at the racetrack during the race weekend.
Super. Jason wants to know, have you ever competed as a driver in a race car?
Yes, actually, it was a long time ago when I was younger and racing with my dad. Did a lot of dirt track racing with a friend of his, Mr. Johnny Wages. Won a state championship in a little mini modified car in Louisiana, which was really fun. Really had a really good run in that car. It was fun. We won races in 2 states, and over a course of 15 races, we probably won 6 of them. So it was a lot of fun.
Super. G wants to know, how much do you and Dale Jr. talk during the race, and what do you usually talk about?
Generally during the race, the only thing we discuss is the car. How is it at that particular time? I try to touch base with him maybe 3 times during a run. Say generally we'll run. Tires and fuel wear out. We run out of fuel or run out of tires at the same time. So if it's a 40-lap run, I'll try to touch base with him like lap 12 and lap 25, lap 35 to get an idea of what the car is doing at the beginning of the run, the middle of the run, the end of the run. So sometimes you'll sacrifice the beginning of a run to get the end better, or you're maybe in a situation where you need to sacrifice the end to get the beginning better for track position or because the race is about to end. So generally that's about it. Sometimes you'll catch us if you're listening. We talk about baseball or something, but generally that's under like a red flag condition. We'll be joking around a little bit, but generally it's all business during the race.
Do you have a favorite team in another sport, baseball or football?
Just football, New Orleans. And I'm a big LSU Tiger fan. Absolutely huge.
Excellent. All right, just 2 more questions. GE wants to know, do you think the racing will be better in 2010 with some of the changes NASCAR is making?
I hope so. I think that what we've seen so far has been good. I think the racing's been good. It was definitely good in Daytona. I felt like the racing was very good in California. I'm very curious to see what the spoiler does, because until we get it in amongst other cars, I don't know if that's going to make the cars more drivable in traffic or less drivable in traffic, if there's going to be a bigger downforce loss when you get in traffic or not. I think that NASCAR is very conscious of the fact that a lot of people were very critical of the racing last season, and they have definitely been open to ideas and made a lot of changes in the off season. Some made it to the media, some didn't. That is definitely, we're all about the racing, and we want the racing to be as good as possible, because we want people tuning in online, or we want people tuning in on the television to watch, because ultimately that's what we're here to do. We're a performance-based industry, and if people turn off the TV, that's not good for us, and we want to be doing this for a long, long time.
Super. And the last question, Foxy Coxy wants to know, what can you tell us about Chris Heroy, who is chatting with us next week?
Chris Heroy's nickname is Sunshine, because he looks like Ronnie Bass from Clash of the Titans. And he was the lead engineer on the 5 last season. And Alan Gustafson, the crew chief of the 5, was very considerate and very nice, and we did a lot of revamping of the shop during the off season. And one of the cards on the table was to have Chris Heroy come over and help the 88. And he's got a very good personality. He's wide open. He's a California kid, so he's got a lot of surfer dude in him, which is fun. But he's very lighthearted and very energetic, and I've really enjoyed work with him.
We've got an MMA fighter that works with the AMP team. His name's Uriah Faber, and they call him the California Kid.
Really?
So we'll have to bring that up next week and
cool.
ask him who deserves that nickname. Well, thanks so much, Lance. This was great. And thank you, Junior Nation, for joining us at ampupthe88.com. This is the online destination for Junior Nation to come each week to amp up for the race. Again, we've got fresh, exciting new content every week, including our signature sweeps. We've got exclusive new videos from the 88 team themselves for you, live Twitter feed from TJ Majors, the spotter, and we're looking for new content ideas from you, so you can enter those in the chat box, and we want to make this a special place for you online, as this is your home. You're the best fans in sports, and you deserve the best website in sports. Next week, same time, same place, Wednesday, March 3rd, 12:30 Eastern Time. We've got Chris Heroy, lead engineer for the 88 team. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.